Hey there, creative demons! Welcome to today's drawing tutorial where we'll dive into the wicked party world of Queen Bee. Get ready to unleash your creative powers and bring this sassy demon queen to life on your page. Today I'm going to be using all pen. It's totally not one of those fancy pens, it's just a regular paper mate kind of pen. Anyway, without further ado, let's put on the screen our reference picture that we're going to use of our very own Queen Bee. And here on this next overlay, I tried to break down Bee into several different basic shapes, but realized very quickly that she's very busy. So we're just gonna dive into this and figure it out best as we can. Now what you're gonna need today is a pen, paper, pencil, and that's it. Now what I'm going to need you to do is take your pencil and we're going to go ahead and sketch out both of her eyes to begin with first. A tip to keep in mind is to make sure that the upper arches of her eyes have more of an arch, a defined arch, than the lower portion of her eyes. They're not going to be even circles. From here we're going to sketch out two diagonal lines, one from the inner corner of her right eye, and then the other diagonal line is going to come out from the outer corner of her left eye. These lines are going to come out and form this half rectangular shape that you see on the screen here. Now we're going to be working on her mouth. We almost have like a V-shaped line coming down, and we're going to start from the outside corner of her left eye and kind of make like a rounded little smile that comes down and meets that V line right there. From there, I totally eyeballed it, but I went ahead and made a point to connect my two lines to. The bottom line is going to go down and it's going to meet the bottom of her jaw. The upper line is going to go almost to the very top arch of her left eye. From here, we're going to make two large arches for her ear. The top of the arch is going to whoop, just like that. And the bottom arch, you want the bottom of it to almost meet the top middle of her left eye. We're going to do another little arch for her head. That's going to meet the top middle of her right eye. And right here, I'm sketching out a little cheek floof that appears on the right side of her face underneath her right eye. It's just a little shape just like that. It'll help us out later. From there, we're going to go ahead and go to the top and make her little flame head. Those are just going to be little lines that kind of go like this. Really easy to sketch out this little flame. Her little flame crown, or whatever you may call it, touches her ear right at that spot, almost like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way up there. As you can see here, I had a little bit of trouble deciding where I was going to continue on next. Yeah. Right here, I wasn't entirely happy with where her tip of her nose placement was, so I brought it out just a little bit right here. I noticed that her shirt came off of the tip of her nose just right here, so I went ahead and made like a little rectangle for reference, just so I can have a general idea of like at least where her shirt begins. Down here, I made a little sketch circle so I know where her elbow is, and then another little line circle to know where the end of her forearm is. I used the outer edge of her left eye to guide my line right here to know where her shirt ended, or at least give me a sense of an idea where her left shoulder began, because it's pointing towards the camera, therefore we can see more of it. Fixing up my guidelines right here. And now we're going to work on her left arm. We're going to make a little circle to know where her elbow is, and two ovals to know where her upper arm and lower arm are. From there, I noticed that her knee, you can use her arms as a guideline to know where her knee, find out where her knee is, right in between her arms. And then we're going to make a huge arch out here for her booty. She's kind of on all fours here. Keep in mind when you're drawing her leg back here that it's going to be smaller in proportion to the rest of her body because it's farther away from the camera. Now we're going to move up top and we're going to draw the even bigger flame that sits on top of our Queen Bee's head. And these are just large jagged shapes. Have fun with it. And we're going to move around to her shoulder right here. One of her wings sticks out over here, and then to the other side where her other wing sticks out, but it is covered by her giant fire crown. This is a good point where I offer for you to pause the video or take a screenshot, because we're going to take our pen and we're going to go in and create all of the details that actually makes Bee. Trust the process. You've got this. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and black out Bee's eyes and make them look like Bee's actual eyes, since that was our starting point and basically generally what all our other lines go off from. Now Bee has these cute little like mascara, almost like running kind of things, eyelashes that come off the bottom of her eyes. And she also has a very long, it almost reminds me like a butterfly antenna kind of eyelash that shoots off like this. Has a little rounded edge. Just color that in. Now our girl is looking confident, fierce. We're going to give her an eyebrow that follows the inner arch of the eye, but then sticks out once it comes to the end of that eye right there. We're going to give her a little dot above the eyebrow. We're going to go in and do the second eyebrow. Again, it follows the inner arch of that eye right there, but then comes out. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and ink up this part of her eye. Now we're going to use her eyes to help guide us to where the top of her nose is. From the inner part of her left eye, we're going to go ahead and make that diagonal line that comes out and connects to the outer edge of her little heart nose. And then from the inner arch of her right eye is going to connect to the other part of her little heart nose. Now I'm just thickening up the inside of her eyes, give her like an eyeliner kind of thing look going on. Now it's important to note that her pupils are not going to look the same because she's giving almost like a 3/4 kind of view at the camera. The one on her right is going to look different than the one on her left. We're going to give her little reflections in her pupils just like that. Here we're going to use our guidelines to help us find where her mouth is and go ahead and ink that. Remember, she's smiling. She's literally in the midst of saying, hey. I honestly have no like personal notes here other than just look at your reference picture and notice those jagged lines inside her mouth that represent her teeth. A little bit of her gums are sticking up on the top part, and you can see her whole, everything inside her mouth. I don't know. From here, we're going to move back up to her ear above her left eye. It has a wider base at the bottom of her ear, so just keep that in mind when you're making that little arch shape. And now we're going to do that other little swoop butterfly antenna that comes off the outer corner of her eye. Color that in. Don't forget to complete the other side of her ear. We're going to use our guidelines from before to do her little fur floof that comes off her cheek. She has a little jagged piece that goes inside. She also has a little piece of floof that sticks out just like that, as you see on the screen. Now we're going to work on the top of her head. She has a little almost arch U kind of symbol that's on her forehead. I honestly have no way to describe it, so just like draw what you see on your reference photo. Now we're going to do her fire crown. Again, jagged lines. It's fire. Have fun with it. She has a little piece of black fire, has 3 points on it, and make sure that you have a little white spot in it. Color that in. It's all black. Shade, shade, shade. We love to shade. Now we're going to circle back up to the top of her head. She has 2 almost parallel lines that represent the inside of her ear. They connect almost at a V shape at the bottom. They have a little triangle on in there and 2 tiger stripes there on the side. She has a little stripe right here on the edge, coming out of the edge of her eye. 3 little dots there at the bottom. Coloring in her nose, making sure it's nice and black. Then taking care of that cheek fluff right there on the bottom of her eye. Finishing up her forehead. Now we're going to come down and bring her shoulder down. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Decided against it. We're going to go ahead and work on her other shoulder on the right side. So what helped me with the placement of her shirt here is just looking at her eyes in reference to where her shirt began, where it ended. I noticed that she's leaning forward a little bit, so a lot of her shirt really is not visible, and it's almost a little awkward and looks a little weird. She has a little heart right there in the middle of her shirt. We're going to take these guidelines and we're going to go ahead and draw in her arms. Unfortunately, in our reference, we cannot see her hands, so I did not include that as part of this video. Yeah, cop out. Call it a cop out. Anyway, we're going to move over and do her other arm that comes across her body, but underneath that first arm that we just drew. From there, we can tell where her knee is going to be, that's in between her legs. And we can also use her arms as a reference point to where her shoulder is, that's facing closer to the camera. She has a little bit of floof that comes off her shoulder. And now we're going to come around and give her a nice bootay with her other leg. Oh no, we're doing her shorts first. And now we're going to do her other leg. Remember, this is going to be smaller than the other parts of her body because it's going away from the camera. Kind of thicken up those lines. Make sure that we know where our queen bee is in reference to space. Her legs are going to be blacked out, so we're just going to kind of gently color those in. Her whole knee right here is going to be black. And then she almost has like black glove-esque kind of thing, so we're going to go ahead and color her arms black as well. She has darker pink stripes that go on the bottom of her shorts, so I went ahead and just kind of like colored those in just to like differentiate them. I went ahead and made her arms and legs a little bit darker. Now, an important little detail here, we can see a little bit of her neck. So go ahead and just copy what you see on the reference or what I'm doing here. Now hang in there with me, we're almost done. I think where we placed the wings the first time was an excellent spot. We're going to go ahead and ink those, and we're going to go ahead and ink the giant fire that's on top of her head. Big, jagged swoops up there. And now we're going to come around and do her plasma crown and plasma tail. We're also going to be doing the giant disco ball right here, just a large arch, because just seeing her foot cut off like that did not look very right. Now, as far as details inside her plasma tail and plasma crown, have fun with it. I just went off basically what I saw on the reference. You can add more details, less details, color it in. Honestly, just have fun with it. These are going to be the last little details that I'm going to add in, like coloring in her little tiger stripes, the fire on top of her head, making the pupils a little bit darker. And then the last thing I did was just slightly shade in her shirt right here. And that's it. You're done. Congratulations. You have officially drawn the one, the only Queen Bee Party Queen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. And make sure to share your creations on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever social media you use by using the hashtag DrawQueenBee. Until next time, keep channeling your inner demon artist and stay wickedly creative. Take care.